I
Hold
started it
on.
live.
Wait. Did you already hit live already?
I just hit live. Is that good?
Yeah. Looks good.
What's up, guys?
Bobby, f off with the sunshine and then the sun and stuff like that. What? Actually, you know what? It's not that cold here. It's just dreary and gross.
Well, believe it or not, it actually has been kind of cold here. But
I'm sure it's
getting up.
I'm sure it's frigid. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. About that.
Well, it's good to see you guys.
So, who do you like in today's games? We'll start with you, Bobby.
Yeah, I've got about 20 minutes, so I'm gonna try to make it work. So I was looking at it. I think it is like for me a 3 running back build. I think you could go a lot of different ways with it, but I do think that Browns, Dobbins, and Kyron Williams are I like that build the best. That's where I'm sort of at, and I like my favorite quarterback is Bo Nix, and my favorite receivers are one of either Puka or Kupp. I think Kupp at low ownership is interesting. That's sort of the basis around the builds I have. I'm not playing a ton of lineups, but that's what I got.
So that's the best. That's the real quick summary now, isn't it? Huh?
Well, that's sort of just what I'm doing, you know. Like, what about you guys? What are you guys seeing?
Well, first of all, obviously there's a huge difference between DraftKings and FanDuel with respect to J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins is the absolute minimum on FanDuel. They blew that one. So he's probably playing in all your lineups at 4K. So that's a little ridiculous. On DraftKings, I think it's more of a choice. I think that I think there's a big difference between some of these running backs. Between the tiers of running backs. You have the Chase Brown and the Kyron Williams, who just completely, clearly, just have that insane role. Okay. And they're trying to win. You know what I mean? Like a good combination of both that. Then I think right under that is actually, I think that the James Conner, I prefer him. Forget the price for a second, but put him and Dobbins. But I like the Conner role, presuming that he's going to have it. You know what I mean? Like their season's over. He was actually probably a little banged up last week. I wouldn't have been surprised if they just sat him the rest of the year. But he's playing, so I find it hard to believe that he's going to play and not play. So
yeah, and it is a little bit of a rivalry game between Arizona. Always treats the Rams like that. So
and you got good weather, and all that. So I prefer that to Dobbins. Connor to, again, just price not mattering, right? But it does to the Dobbins. It's because that New England game could be gross. I mean, it really could be. I mean, the weather's not great. The teams are not, the offenses are not great. I mean, nothing's really that great. And who knows how healthy Dobbins really is, He's back from injury reserve. I presume he's fine. I've actually heard news that he actually has been looking good in practice. So as far as who the best plays are, I think it's pretty safe to say that Chase Brown and Kyron Williams are the two best running backs. But then that's bad ownership, right? Are you willing to take a shot at any of these Denver guys? I mean, it's obvious that Sean Payton is of no interest in giving anybody the work. So in classic slate, I mean, only in the highest number of lineup contests I think you should be playing Denver running backs. The Ramondre Stevenson thing, I try to talk myself into it a bunch of times this week. But he freaking fumbles every time he touches the ball. It's like a little annoying, So that's well, I don't mind if he fumbles, but the fact is the coach minds if he fumbles. So I don't know if he's going to get they gave Gibson actually outsnapped him last week, for Christ's sake. So I think there's definitely a gap there. And the other thing that, again, just because I've been talking about this, I did a couple of different looks at this, and each time I said, you know what, I'm going to I just have to force myself to play this Chargers New England game because it's just going to be so much lower than the others that you just have to do it. And I even said at the beginning, I'm like, I know what's going to happen. The projections are going to be whatever. The Sims are going to give me whatever. I'm just going to end up not playing them, but I have to remember to play them. And here we are, and this is exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to not play them. And I don't know. I mean, do you think that the ownership of these guys is low enough to take shots at this game?
I think it's low enough to where you could. I think Stevenson's actually interesting as a pivot. And like you said, on the main slate, maybe you don't include some of those other Denver guys. But if you had to pick one, I think that taking a shot with Estime might be. I just feel like there's I don't know. I have the feeling that he might be the one who ends up getting more of the carries this week. But I hear you. I think that Stevenson is the one I'm the most interested in from the New England game. And the problem is like Booty's like getting no ownership, and that's one spend down at receiver that I think makes sense. The Sims love him, so I think those are the plays that I like from the early game. What are you getting to, Rody?
Yeah, I mean Gibson's a pass catching back there too. I kind of like him. I'm thinking maybe they're going to be down, so maybe take Stevenson out. I mean, I played Stevenson a little bit because his price is pretty cheap, but I like the Gibson price at 5,200 as well for some pass catching role. But yeah, I mean, I would say the exact same thing. Like I like the Denver passing, like you said, Bo Nix. I'm kind of on the Bo Nix to in the passing game side of it too. So
well, I'm kind of into Kevin's question. Obviously, loaded question here. About this Dobbins thing. I mean, he's back off injury reserve. They're aiming to kind of like get into the playoffs, but to his point. I mean, I'll just read it. I mean, he says, "What reason does LA have to do anything more than get Dobbins' feet wet in the timeshare?" None. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a good dispute for that. I mean, I think that's a very, very good point. I mean, they probably should just try to get his feet wet in a timeshare. On FanDuel though, he's still 4K. So even if you told me he was in a timeshare, you'd have. I think the way running backs work, I think you probably, I would say, have to play him, but you certainly have to respect it, right? I mean, hey, if you really believe he's going to get nothing, I mean, he's going to be 75% owned over there. I mean,
yeah, I mean that actually that's an interesting fade over there because I don't think he's going to he's probably going to be like 40% on DraftKings. I think it's more interesting as a fade on FanDuel just because I mean 75% might even be generous. It might be lower than that just based on what the projections are.
Yeah, I mean 4K is rough.
Yeah.
What now? If you were going to play the pass catchers from this first game, I'm not talking about showdown. I'm talking about in the
3-gamer.
In the 3-gamer, but you know the Chargers pretty well, Rody. What do you think about these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I like McConkey's okay at 6,600. I don't mind, but I don't mind getting to some Johnson at 5,100. He's seen increased role lately, getting a lot less ownership, and he could do something, but he's cheaper, so he helps my builds work a little bit because I want to pay up for like Chase, pay up for these other Nakua today, so like getting a cheaper guy there. But I don't mind like Bobby said, Booty on the other side is like 4K is a good cheap option. Getting owned though. But I mean, even Douglas at 4,300, I don't mind on the other side of the game. I think New England's going to be behind. They're going to have to pass it. So I like Johnson more, and I like either Douglas or Boutte. So today,
I just want to point out that the Chargers are not in the playoffs yet. Like
that's true. They need to win games.
I'm not going to just buy into this. We're just going to get the guy's feet wet. Especially the way Harbaugh plays. Like they're going to try to win this game. They're not in. I mean, they're 92% to make the playoffs. But if you're not in the playoffs yet, I don't see them just sort of like, okay, we'll just take it easy on them and we'll hope we get there by other teams losing or something. I just think that's not the way they're going to play.
Now again, this is more showdown, and I have to try to resist this because listen, it's not a 2-game slate; it's a 3-game slate. I can't treat this like showdown as much as I feel like it in the classic slate. You have Will Dissly back for the Chargers. However, I still think that that Stone Smart is in play here. He seemed like his depth of targets are just a little better than Dissly's, it seems, at least when I was watching. And maybe not for classic. But I don't know. Is 3 games short enough where you can take stupid shots with Stone Smart? I mean, I know people are going to play Hunter Henry. That obviously makes a lot more sense because he's the actual tight end. Although I have seen Austin Hooper get some routes. And I haven't seen him get some targets and some catches.
He's been pretty heavily involved every week.
And I'm seeing like 10% ownership on him too, actually. For Hooper.
Really?
Yeah, Stone Smart's at
He's in my
15,
main build.
so over Disley's. Nobody's gonna play Disley.
You don't think so?
I mean, he's coming in like 4%.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting.
Smart's. I haven't got an update in a minute though.
I think Disley's going to be a little higher than that. Just my guess.
Let me look at an update here.
Saberson definitely has him higher for what it's worth.
Yeah, I wasn't looking at.
But the fact is, I mean, we could talk about this game all we want, and the only reason you're really playing much of this is for leverage. Because listen, it's whatever. I think whatever I'm telling you, I think whatever this game is projected at, it's even going to be lower. Because it's just so these other two games, their totals are 10 points higher. The name value of all the players are 10 points higher, and they're later in the day. So you have that flexibility that people like also. So all I'll say is that you could somehow get away with something happening. Remember, New England's done, right? I don't know. Harbaugh is funny like that. Maybe he lets freaking Herbert cook. You know what I mean? And to get him. Even if they're doing well, just to get them rolling. It's going to be tough, man, though, for this game to get there. With all the things I talked about. But if God forbid you can make it happen, then I mean, if you play like some stack from this game, like really heavy, and they blow up, then you could just go swap to whatever freaking chalk there is that's left in the rest of your lineups later. But just talking about fundamentals, I mean, we can certainly start talking now about the more fun games. I mean, the last two games definitely have better weather, better guys. So, Bobby, why don't you start?
Well, I'll throw that out real quick. Nix is my quarterback in my big buy-in, but I'm only playing Drake May as in the lottery. Just because I think that it's the best way to get different is to try to is to play that. And look, I'm playing 7 entries in the lottery, so it's not like a huge amount of things. But if I'm going to take a chance, why not take the 5% owned guy when you have a 3-game slate who's got the rushing upside to actually be the highest scoring quarterback, even though it doesn't look like it on paper. Look, we're a week removed from playing Drake May on a main Sunday with 12 games. Why wouldn't we take a shot with him here on a 3-gamer at home? And I think it's worth the gamble. But in my big buy-in, no matter what, it's going to be Bo Nix. Sorry, I kind of jumped this conversation. I also want to throw in the Tyler Higbee as he played 20 to 25% of the snaps last week. They might be working him more in in their playoff run. So I would look out for Higbee as a potential play in that same Cooper Smart price range. And when he's on the field, the Rams will look for him. He's not a $3,300 tight end. He probably should be around 4K, a little bit higher. So I like the idea of getting some Higbee as well at low ownership.
Oh, and now again, let's start talking about the Cincinnati game, because I know at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is the game is going to be 51-40, like everybody's, you know what I mean? Like, and then people are going to say, why didn't we just play this freaking game? Why do we play this freaking stupid McVay? You know what I mean? Like, and this because whenever we try to play Arizona games, it ends up 13-10. Whenever we try to play freaking McVay, he ends up 13-10. And we're going to talk ourselves into all this, and then we try to get different in New England. And the next thing you know, it's the same as always. Bengals can't stop anybody, and nobody can stop the Bengals. And that's really the bottom line, What do you think? So again, I made it sort of easy, but what do you think about that? I mean, obviously that game is, I think, the best game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it is. You could argue the Rams and Arizona. It goes one way or the other with those guys. Like we always talk about it. It's the 13-7 game or is it the 30-27 game? But yeah, it's hard to not want to play. Just for me, just looking at it, if I was hand building, I think I would just find myself just building around Denver, with Sutton and with Nick Sutton and then one of either Vele or Mims. And I just think it makes like so much sense. And then you run it back with whoever you want, but Chase Brown and Chase being the most logical just seems like a very obvious thing to do.
Well, Bobby, we're gonna have the same lineup today.
We might. I don't know. You're not playing Tyler Higbee, so I don't think that. We're
if you throw Higbee in there, yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to play Tyler Higbee. What do you think about that?
I think you might be right, and I think there's a look. His first catch of the year was in the most one of their more important drives of the year last week. He's coming back from an ACL tear. He legitimately could be like in a different price tier than all these other tight ends if he was playing regularly. He's not going to get full run today, but maybe he plays 40% of the snaps, and he certainly will get looks near the end zone. So I think he's an interesting play. I like too many of the Rams, though. That's my problem today.
Oh,
as usual. Did you guys get to any of the Cooper Cup, by the way?
I haven't even gotten to that game yet.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. But it's just speaking of that game. I mean, I think that's like the natural second best game. You know, and like you said, I mean, you could get, you could play that to be 13-10. You could play it to be, you play it to be 37 to whatever. But we just haven't seen these Arizona games blow up, have we?
Not
gave up like
as
2
much
touchdowns in like to quarterbacks passing in a long time.
Yeah.
Or that's all they give up usually.
Mm-hmm. You can run the ball on them though a little bit, and it's interesting. I don't know. Arizona's a very confusing team. Like 5 weeks ago, they looked like they were completely ready for a big year and Kyler breakout, and now they're dead and people are questioning their future. So it's kind of an interesting spot.
Well,
they do tend to play the Rams tough.
Hey, let's talk about some. We'll get back to some plays in a minute, but let's may as well. So you mentioned the Denver guys. I mean, as usual, you're even with the receivers, you are speculating outside of Sutton. You know what I mean? With who's going to get all this work? Not all this work. I mean, who's going to get the majority of the targets? Sutton's going to get like a huge amount, and then you really not exactly sure who the next guy is. I mean, Mims definitely has big play upside, as we've seen. He also has like small play upside. You know what I mean? He can get end arounds too. I mean, they call plays for him. Even like it reminds me of like a better version of even if you go back to the Chargers game, like you want to play showdown, like play that. Who's that guy that always gets plays called for? Davis, whatever. Like guys like that, But Mims is actually like more of a natural receiver.
Yeah, he's become more of a part of their team. Yeah.
Yeah. But Velez, he's in there. But then they always liked every once in a while you see little Jordan Humphrey floating around out there. And then there's a fourth guy also whose name escapes me right now. For Denver, always seems to be out.
Troy Franklin.
Franklin,
Vele, yeah, all these guys are out there.
All these cats, So
Vele, I do think is the one that, for what it's worth. I mean, look, it could end up being just random variants to little Jordan Humphrey or to Franklin. I think Vele is the biggest part of what they actually want to do for the future. I think he's actually a real part of their team, a real part of their process going forward. He's he's a rookie this year. Like I like him and Franklin better than I do the little Jordan, but you never know with the touchdown variants.
What about, and again, the usual, who's the tight end for Denver? I was getting a little bit of a Kroll or something like that. Again, just more showdown, I think.
Yeah, Denver, the thing is, like, if you're going to play Denver tight end, don't ever do it on a main week, but on a 3-game slate, take a shot maybe, because it really is like one of these guys could get like 9 points, and that might be the best score outside of Gesicki, obviously, who's in a tier all by himself. I'm sorry, not Gesicki, McBride, excuse me, who's in a tier by himself at tight end on this slate. Other than that, you're looking at for a guy to try and score 10 points, and yeah, why not? Why not take a shot that you happen to get the one touchdown from the Denver tight end that hasn't happened much this year? But why, take a stab on this kind of slate instead of a big slate?
What do you think of now? Again, what we used to do. What we used to do back when I first started DFS is we would play stuff like T. Higgins, because we would say, okay, what's his name? Surtain is going to be shadowing Jamar Chase, and so we're supposed to play T. Higgins. Kind of gotten away from that. Partially because I think the NFL's kind of gotten away from that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like that easy. I think they'll first of all, I don't think they'll care. I think they'll throw it to him anyway, and they'll run all kinds of pick plays, all kinds of nonsense. If they want Jamar Chase to get the ball, I think they're going to get Jamar Chase the ball, and they always seem to want to get Jamar Chase the ball. So, do you like T. Higgins at all today as kind of a logical second receiver?
Yeah, I think he's going to be popular, but I like him, which is partly why I think like between he and Sutton, they get the ownership with a little bit going to McConkey. That's why I wanted to play Kupp, just because it's contrarian, and I just think by the end of the day, no one's really going to end up with the Cooper Kupp spot in their lineup. But that's the pivot off of Higgins. I'm probably going to run in a minute, so it's good to see you guys.
Hold on. I had one other thing I wanted to ask you. And again, this is more just in general. 3-game slate. Any issues with playing quarterbacks against defenses?
No, let's do it.
Okay. 3-game slate. Would you want to intentionally leave money on the table, or just if you get there, you get there?
If I get there, I get there. My big buy-in, I'm leaving 500 on the table.
But not on purpose. That's just what you like, right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
All being equal, not all being equal, but remember the way the slate lays out, it's everything's an island game. So you'll be able to have everything in front of you. Kevin with an interesting take here. So you think Surtain is projected to shadow Higgins?
Higgins plays mostly outside. I was just about to comment. Surtain probably going to play mostly on Higgins today.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be a mix though. They'll set it. It'll be a mix of both of them, I think.
Yeah, and Denver's scaled back their man-to-man coverage lately too a little bit, so they are playing a little bit different. That's why Surtain's going to shadow Higgins mostly more, but I mean it could be a mix, like Bobby says. They've been changing it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right, fellas. Well, good luck today. Thanks for everything, and I'm going to try and join for tomorrow as well. So,
great.
The Wi-Fi holds up, where we'll be in business. I should be good for the whole thing tomorrow. So, good luck, fellas. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys later.
Bobby. Later.
Awesome. So I know I say this for every slate or whatever, but it's like so important to run these late swap builds throughout the course of the day. You only need to do it once. Once for each time. I mean, like at 4. What's this game? 4:30. The second one.
Yeah.
Eastern. Yeah, Eastern. Just run it at 4 o'clock. It takes 5 minutes. If you have SaberSim, right? All it's going to do. I mean, it's not going to mess with your. It's going to just take into account like the points that have already been scored in figuring out what lineups you're supposed to play, and it's going to take into account the ownership. That's already been revealed. I think it's something you really need to do. Even though everybody knows to do it, you know what people usually do? All right, here's some advice. All right. What most people do is they'll look to late swap when they're really doing shitty. Okay. Or when they're really doing well. Or when there's a projection change, they'll do it. And that's you should do that for sure, but you should also do it when nothing's changed. And that's going to be my advice, because it's the subtle late swaps that can differentiate you. Like the late swaps that just take into account the fact that Chase Brown was 49% instead of the 41% that you thought, or something like that. Because I've done this a lot, and things change quite a bit when that with that kind of thing. Okay, so let me
definitely agree.
Now I want to run I just want to just for fun, I want to run my sims and let you guys know at least what I'm getting. And I've been experimenting with a lot of different fields. I actually tried the thing with SaberSim where I kind of like my ownership projections this week. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to, use those as my fields. And just to kind of see what I would end up getting here. And that would be, I start by looking at the quarterbacks, because that usually just kind of just shows what. So I'm going to get very, very little of the Justin Herbert. And you know what else I'm going to get? Yeah, there it is. Very little of the Bo Nix. I'm going to be the anti-Bobby, I think, today. And not that much of the Burrow, just to get different. Yeah, in the lotteries. In the big buy-ins, I'm probably going to end up playing these guys. But I'm getting like a bunch of Drake May and stuff like that. Again, it's a 3-game freaking slate.
I like some of the Drake May lineups I built today too. So I'm like, man, I built one. I'm like, that feels good. That kind of looks like a big buy-in type lineup. It just felt a little bit better. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm down with it.
I like the Hunter Henry with Drake May combination. And I don't know. It just feels good.
I mean, it feels like crap, but I mean, like, And then then you just know, like, then you're going to have a little bit of a score. You're going to talk yourself into thinking you're doing okay because Booty's got like 15 fantasy points or something like that, right? And then the Bengals are going to come out and do their freaking thing, and then you're like, oh well, that's a good try. And then Marvin Mims is going to get like a 50-yard touchdown pass. Oh, what am I doing? It's like so. We'll see. So that was my first run, and then the other way I'm going to run this is I'm going to run it against my 5,000 lineup. But let me share this just to. Again, football season's almost over, but just again to show you what this means. All right, so I built. This is my most recent build. I'm going to call this something. I'll rename this Sunday update, I guess. Actually, I'm going to call it something else. I'll call it Sunday. I'll just call it Sunday Below, just so I'll remember. So that's the build of the 5,000 lineup. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the contest fields, like here, and then I'm going to change the source. Oh, now it is. Source is now Sunday Below. So now what we do is, now that it's set to this, source Sunday Below. Wait, where's the field size? Oh, field lineups. We want to change this one to builds Sunday Below. See that? And then what we're going to do is kind of sim against ourselves, sort of, which is kind of a neat way to play. So now we're going to resim this. So we're really comparing our 5,000 lineups to the 5,000 lineups, which is kind of funny. And we'll see what that gets me. I have a feeling it's going to be very similar. I still think I'm going to be getting this a decent amount of this. Yeah, once again, Drake May showing up as my highest owned. But this one's getting more Kyler Murray, which I like because it's the late game.
Yeah, I was getting some more Murray myself, so some of my couple main lineups will probably be. It's more an optimal build with Kyle Murray. It looks like. And
yeah,
cheaper option. Marvin Harrison's kind of cheap too in that game we didn't talk about.
Yeah, so let's. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting probably a bunch of that. So what we'll do is we'll save these, and then we're getting a whole bunch of the Drake May, and it just kind of is what it is. I kind of like that. Just in the lottery, though.
I'm gonna run a couple builds here in a second. Saber builds,
and then I'm gonna do the same thing with Now, just to kind of again to show you the difference. Now let's do the same thing, but instead of using that field, let's just use the regular. We go into field lineups here, and we'll change this to just the regular flagship MME field that SaberSim kind of puts together, and then we'll run that here as well. So we'll rerun this. Oops, hold on. Okay, we'll rerun the Sims here. And we'll see. Troutman, you think K9 is the Denver sneaky time? I don't think any of these guys are going to do anything at the end of the day. Like, what's the most he's going to get? 8? I think. I think that's the most he's going to get. So in this one, when we just run it against the so this is interesting. So here, when we run this against the regular SaberSim, fields, check out what we'd be getting. We'd be getting 0 Herbert.
Wow. No,
literally 0. And this one we'll be getting again 49% Drake May, but this one's more Matthew Stafford. So this one's almost a full fade of the Bengals game. So, best of luck to you, sir. Right? So and I wish I knew the right answer about which field to use. I just don't know. I prefer, because I'm putting in work and with different ownerships. I think that running it based on my custom ownership is probably a little better because I'm using a little bit of like some I would say better ownerships, but good ownerships to help me factor in. I'm changing things a little bit just to get a little bit different than just going with the regular Saberson build. I think doing one of those makes sense. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a lot of Drake May. Let's do the same thing with the FanDuel.
You playing a lot of FanDuel? They have any good contests today? I didn't look.
Yeah, it's the same as usual. Yeah, it's 100,000 for first with the lottery. And I'll play one entry in the bigger one that's same as FanDuel as DraftKings. All right, so this is FanDuel. Let's do the same thing. So we'll upload the new projections. We'll see what we do over here. Split us with players. Oh, let's create the custom fields. We'll call this below. It's below. Yeah, so I'm basically reliving like my not coming out of retirement for poker, but I'm sort of coming out of retirement for a couple of things. I'm going to see the FIDE Blitz Championships in the city at chess on Monday. And then I'm going away for like a little bit. I'm on vacation. When I come back, I'm coming out of retirement, playing my first backgammon tournament in like 15 years. There's a big backgammon tournament in the city, in Jersey City, actually. All the best players are playing. A couple of guys I know are going, and I've been threatening to go for a long time. So I went. It would be the equivalent if Kevin's there. It's the equivalent of me like coming right out of the gate and playing like the 5K at the World Series or something like 5K 6 max at the World Series. Like
wow,
total dead money. I mean, like I'm so out of form as far as backgammon goes that's a complete shit show. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do.
It'll be fun, yeah.
Yeah. So rename below again. Below test, we'll call it. Confirm. Okay, so now let's just build the 5,000 lineups here on FanDuel again, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll compare it to 3 different sims. We'll compare it to we'll sim it against the regular Saber sim builds. We'll sim it against the customized ownership builds. Then we'll sim it against this ourselves and see kind of the differences. Let's see. Yeah, Cheddar Biscuit won the million last night, by the way, in the basketball. He needs the money, so that's good to see. Let's see. Let's go. So let's see what we're going to do here. So we're going to compare it first with just going to sim it against okay, look at this. So we have our choices. Hey, what's up, Joanne? So let's first just do it against the regular Saber sim ownerships. Where is this? Field lineups. Why is it not letting me do it? Flagship MME. Why is it not changing? Okay, that's interesting. Well, we got to get back to below test, I guess. Let's go back to contests. It's not letting me. Oh, there it is. Flagship MME. Okay, very good. Okay. So when we sim this against the stock Saber sim field, let's see what we end up getting. I already have it preset to min uniques too. I guess I don't need to do that, but I did. And if we did that, we would get, let's look at, again, I just like to do the quarterbacks. That gives you an idea of what you're having. Be getting, once again, very little. This one gets you again a lot of Drake May and Stafford, but again, very little Bo Nix and getting not as much Kyler Murray, right? So that's simming against the regular stock builds. Now let's do the same thing And instead of using the flagship MME, let's do this one, this customized thing that we just created here, and see how that looks. I presume that Dobbins is going to be in every lineup, I think, regardless. Actually, look at Chase Brown is getting all the I'm getting almost 100% of Chase Brown here on FanDuel.
Wow, on FanDuel, yeah.
Yeah.
Dobbins still pretty high at 80.
Yeah. I was expecting at 100. I mean, that price is just broken. I mean, that doesn't have to get there, and it's not just that, he has to get there. It's like 4K opens up the whole lineup. For everybody else, he can get 7 points and still be optimal because of all the other studs he lets you get in. All right, so we got to keep track. So what we're building it against our customized thing. Now, again, we're just sorting by the quarterback. It's a little more spread out, okay? You're getting some Burrow, some Stafford,
I like
some
that.
Murray, and a little less Bo. You still got not that much Bo Nix, but you're getting a little more of them. So now what we're thinking about, and I might use this one. I'll tell you why in a minute. Let's go back, and to finish this, let's use, instead of field lineups, let's do the build that I just did. So we're going to sim this to ourselves. So this is going to be the answer to this question is pretty important about why I might use that one with Burrow. Hold on. So let's see. Let's sim this against ourselves. And the reason why I'll tell you is I've talked about this a lot. The really bottom level analysis to analyze players. Then the next level is to analyze players as like based on salary. And the next level is to analyze like lineups, right? And then the next level is to analyze like portfolio of lineups, like how the lineups work well together. And even though they're on different sites, the fact that I have like a lot of money like fading Burrow on DraftKings, I wouldn't mind getting some on FanDuel, presuming that it works. Presuming I'd be getting it naturally. So let's just see. If we did it this way, again, it's just simming against ourselves here. Again, let's just start with just the quarterbacks. We'd be getting, once again, pretty decent spread out of Burrow, Kyler Murray, or whatever. So now my only question is whether what do I trust? The field that the 5,000 lineups I made comes up with, or the one that my projected ownership comes up with. Now, one thing you could do is you could look at the pool that you're using, or like your field lineups. Like you go into here, and let's just say I want to see what this is. So this is the below test, so I can actually click on this and see what this is. Let me see. This is this. So we're going to go back, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to use the customized ownership. And the reason why is because, and this is something I've talked about, if we use the 5,000 that I built as the field, the problem with that is because I feel as though I'm building all good lineups, that it's not going to be represented in the field, because the field is going to build like a decent amount of shit lineups. So if you use a field that's based on nothing but decent lineups, it's not exactly good. So what we're going to do is we will go back to what we did before. We'll go back to this below field lineup, which was here. Come back. So that's the field that we're going to use. We're going to sorry. I'm going to rerun this. Just make sure it resembled what we said before. Yep. So decently spread out. What we talked about, decent amount of Burrow. Looks good. And then we will prioritize the monster up here. Fill it. And boom. And then the key again is just to not to look, because if you look, you just drive yourself crazy.
Yeah, I got a lot different builds on my DraftKings than you did. I didn't get as much Drake May.
Nice. Oh, so good.
Or Joe Burrow. I got more Herbert using the regular SaberSim.
Beautiful. Well, someone's gonna win then. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We could be like one of those like really big tout sites where we have like 75 people recommending like 400 plays. And then like whichever one like scores the most, that person comes on and says what a genius they are.
Yeah, whichever one wins. Yeah.
Yeah. We can try that one day.
I still like the Bo Nix. I still think I like the Bo Nix.
I do too. I
think that's my call. So if that sucks, then that we're going down with that. But
yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. I might as well rebuild the showdown thing again. No, actually, I'm kind of happy with my showdown builds from before. Let's just see. All right. I am gonna go. I'm gonna tighten up the showdown stuff. I will see you tomorrow at 11.
Yep, 11 o'clock.
All right. Good luck, everybody.
All right, guys, let's get it.